welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hammonton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And by our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and check them out at www.crowdplayapp.com for details. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Unsportsmanlike Conduct here on the Sports Box. I am Paul McCree alongside Big V Mike Velarde. It's been a while, a couple weeks since our last show. We're back, and at an important time here, the NFL Draft recap. This past weekend, the 3-day NFL Draft has concluded, so we'll go through some of the teams more local to this area, but then just some of the other, we're not going to go through all 32 teams, but we'll give some of our assessment there, along with the latest in the MLB and the NBA with the regular season winding down. We'll get into some things there. So what's going on, Big V? It's been a while. You're busy, I know, with high school baseball right now. Things are 7 games in.
Listen, just trying to fit everything in. Just give our fans at the Sports Box what they want and deserve. The Sportsmanlike Conduct show is back tonight. We don't care about any other show but ours, so tune in to ours.
That's right. Well, you did do the draft show on Thursday night, so
I don't care about that.
You do care about that.
No, I just help the network out in any way I can.
You didn't do You didn't do Friday, right? You didn't do Friday.
Did.
You did Friday as well.
I did.
Yeah, then you are dedicated to everything.
I'm dedicated, but this is our show.
Tard gave me a hard time because I had to do Thursday night. Friday night, I had a wedding to go to. Like, okay.
I know. I saw you at the wedding. I saw you on your phone at the wedding.
Yeah, you saw that. I was looking at it because I was in the fantasy basketball finals. So I had to look at it. I mean, it was probably rude, but whatever.
Nice picture like that, and you're in the back with your phone on your phone.
Yeah, but it wasn't like during a speech. It was just it was the first dance. I don't really care about that. But yeah, the NFL draft. I want to let's start with the team that had the number 2 pick. Well, all right, we'll go with the number 1 pick just because it's a team that pick first, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I mean, listen, we all knew they were going to take Trevor Lawrence at number 1. Great, right. But at number 25, which was their second first-round pick, they chose the other Clemson Tiger, Travis Etienne, the running back from Clemson. Not surprised he went in the first round. Maybe a little bit surprised, though, he landed in Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got a pretty good running back in James Robinson. I know a little bit different skill set. Etienne looks like a guy that's going to be able to do it all. He was showcased in the passing game this year at Clemson and showed that he can excel in that role as well. So it's going to be interesting because it looked like Urban Meyer said, actually, interestingly, you don't usually have a coach that comes out and says, well, we were actually targeting somebody else. He was actually targeting the receiver from Florida that went to the Giants at number 20, Tony, the receiver, the gadget receiver, or whatever you want to call him, Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
So that's interesting there. So what's your thoughts, obviously, on Etienne then going at number 25?
Him and Trevor Lawrence lit it up at Clemson. Etienne's the all-time leading rusher at Clemson, right? It happened this year.
Yes, yeah, he must have passed C.J. Spiller, I would think.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, so
I mean, listen, they're a winning program. Obviously, you're a Clemson fan. Lawrence is obviously the number 1 pick. I mean, I don't think that there's really anybody in that draft class that was close to him. I mean, there wasn't even an expectation Jacksonville wasn't going to take him. So I mean, you have other years when you had Manning and Leaf, and where they didn't know who the number 1 pick was going to be. And Manning, and then Eli Manning, in his draft, it was almost like this was cut and dry. They were taking him. So, I just think that. Listen, Urban Meyer's coming in with a philosophy. I don't know what he's going to run offensively. As BTA says, always. Taking a running back is stupid in the first round.
Okay, so Najee Harris was stupid to take in the first round at 24 overall by Pittsburgh. Najee Harris is going to be an absolute stud. Like, there is no question.
Because then,
I mean, I can maybe
you're going to have to pay him first round money now. Was Derrick Henry bad? I'm just saying. Was Derrick Henry? What was saying? What pick was say?
But he was second round.
I'm just saying.
Second round pick. Yeah.
But where do you use the cutoff at of, oh, well, you shouldn't draft running backs high? You know what I mean? Because even a second round running back is,
I would agree top 10. Yes, I would agree top 10, probably not a good idea to take a running back. But it's not like they don't have a spot in the first round. There were a couple running backs in this, and Harris was one of them. I'm not surprised ETN went in the first round. I think everybody pretty much thought he was a late first round pick, at worst, an early second round pick. Josh Jacobs got taken in the first round a couple years ago by the Raiders.
Yeah.
He's been
okay.
So far, I would say that pick was warranted. I mean, he's an important part of their offense.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh right now, and they're in what they need to do because they don't have a quarterback other than Ben Roethlisberger. They don't have another young guy waiting in the wings. Mason Rudolph is a good backup quarterback, but that's it. They needed a more effective runner to take pressure off of Ben, who was throwing the ball 35, 40 times last year. Yeah. And you saw what happened when he was doing that. He was making mistakes, turnover prone. So bringing in a kid with, this is the time that obviously when you're in your mid-20s into, that first, 4 or 5 years, that's where the tread on the tires are still pretty good.
Right.
So you got to think of it that way. And look, Derrick Henry got better over the last couple of years. He wasn't as dominant as he's been the last couple of years, his first 3 or 4 years in the league. And I think he's getting a bargain right now with Tennessee. 4 years, $50 million is actually not that much compared to what some of the other running backs are making that aren't as good as him. So I think ETN, where he went, is a surprise. I'm not surprised, or don't think he didn't belong. I don't think he didn't belong in the first round in this draft. I mean, that's, then they took Tyson Campbell, the corner, the second corner taken from Georgia, because the Green Bay took a corner from Georgia too, and late in the first round. But Tyson Campbell, then the first pick of the second round. Then they took a tackle from Stanford, Walker Little. This particular draft grade is a B from ESPN. I mean, it is what it is. Really for them, those first 2 picks are pretty important, and we'll see. I think they could have probably used another playmaker, a receiver. They didn't draft a receiver then until the last pick, or their last pick in the 6th round. So, I guess they didn't really, they probably went by their board on best available, as usually try to do, and that's what it looks like happened there. But then the second pick, which was no surprise either, the Jets took Zach Wilson. We all knew that was going to happen. I think the Jets hit it pretty well on their first 4 picks. I mean, everything after that is always going to be a semi-crapshoot anyway.
Right.
But I thought, then moving up in the first round then, because they had a second first-round pick, they moved up and traded with Minnesota to take the tackle from USC, Vera Tucker, I guess a guard tackle. I think he's going to play tackle for right now, but he was or they list him at guard. ESPN lists him at guard, but he was Elijah Vera Tucker was their second first-round pick. Then they took the slot receiver from Ole Miss, Elijah Moore.
He's pretty good.
And then Michael Carter, they traded up in the early 4th round, took the second running back from North Carolina, as they had a pretty good running back core last year. So, I mean, I like those first 4 picks for the Jets. And they did a lot in free agency, too. They got Corey Davis, the receiver. So it looks like they're building the team as far as the line play, because their offensive line does need to improve. I mean, really everything needs to improve with the Jets. I mean, they were the last 32nd ranked offense the last 2 years. So I think they've done a good job, and Joe Douglas is, starting to lay some foundation there in a division that looks like it's going to be pretty interesting for years to come, the AFC East.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they got the guy they wanted. Do I agree with the Zach Wilson pick? I don't really know what he's going to be. But everybody takes a chance. Because like we said, unless you're picking number one, I'm assuming he's the sure thing. Zach Wilson is undersized. Let's see what happens.
Everybody fell in love with the arm strength and the right. Some of the things resemble, not saying he's these players, but resembles the way Aaron Rodgers can throw the football and right. Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, he's not those players, but it shows you some of the God-given talent he has. Obviously, he's going to need a little more coaching. Personally, in me, I always thought Justin Fields was the second best quarterback. But
I mean, that was the debate coming out.
But I don't know. I felt like with Fields, it was one of those.
He kind of got exposed late in the year, I think, especially in the playoff.
Well, I thought he played very well in the Clemson game. He lit him up for 6 touchdowns. So
what I mean is like he doesn't. I think Fields probably doesn't have that flash that Lawrence brings. He'll make a bonehead play, but then he'll make 5 good plays. So I don't know. Moving on to the Eagles.
Yeah. Then obviously the Eagles with Devontae Smith. I think we know that was one of the 4 players that they probably identified. If
I would have to assume so. But like we found out, Howie did good getting out of that pick, getting a first-round pick, even though he moved back in for a third-round pick and still got his guy, as they say. You weren't going to get Chase and Pitts where you were. So at least I feel a little bit better about that we didn't trade out and have an opportunity to get one of those guys. And I think that Howie knew that as well. So I'll give him some props on that because I thought that was a good – so basically you traded back in at number 10 for a third-round pick. You kept your first-round pick that you traded. I would have to assume that was what the thinking was all along.
Yeah, and I think for them, they identified, the way the board fell with the 2 corners, Horn and Surtain got taken 8 and 9. Dallas, that was probably their choices. Obviously they got taken then. The Eagles were not going to take Parsons. They don't take linebackers early anyway. So obviously they identified Devontae Smith was the guy they really wanted then. Wasn't their first choice. I think they would have took Waddle over Smith if Waddle was there. But nonetheless, Smith, then they trade with Dallas. My first impression was, okay, this is a little odd that they're trading with Dallas. I know they've done it before. They gave it, they had an extra third-round pick. When you have 11 picks, you get to do stuff like this. You have flexibility to make moves. So it all worked out. Cowboys were happy because they still got Parsons, and the Eagles got who they wanted. And then
I think the second-round pick was actually what
was pretty short-sighted given the
roster. He's taking a wide receiver first.
Okay. Best available player. I don't understand. Who are you going to take a tackle?
Yeah, that's what you wanted. There was no both cornerbacks that were the best available were gone.
So you're going to take the tackle that the Chargers took then?
I don't know. I guess
that's the kid from Northwestern.
Let's get to Landon Dickerson, okay? Because he's been giving. WIP was going nuts with him this morning on how good Howie of a first day Howie had, then the second day was terrible. I disagree. I think if this pick hits, which it's an big if, because of his injury history, this kid will be a steal, an absolute steal. And, whether he's playing center, which he should, probably for Kelsey, because he's either done this year or next year, or guard, which he could play both. I watched some of this kid's film on the day of the draft. It's fantastic. He's pancaking people. That's an Alabama. When do you ever see the Eagles drafting Alabama people? Okay,
we talked about that before. It's been a long time.
And
then they
then they make a pick with their last pick and take a guy from Coastal Carolina. So it just makes and not to jump ahead. I think that their 5th round pick, Gainwell, is going to be a stud as well.
I think as far as value, that was their best pick.
And listen, the guy didn't play last year, so sometimes people forget, you know?
Yeah, and I think he was a 3rd, 4th round probably pick anyway, Gainwell. But it seems like one of those, Memphis comes out and then they produce these running backs. It's been going on since I think it started with D'Angelo Williams well back in the day. He's a solid. I think I've seen comparisons of like Austin Eckler, and then some even went as far as say Alvin Kamara. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, if he fell to the 5th round, I don't think he's Alvin Kamara. But I think just from they're going to be able to line him up. They're going to be able to have Sanders and Gainwell on the field probably at the same time. Perfect. Gainwell can probably line up in the slot, play a little bit of. I think they're going to use him a little bit like that. They're going to use him as a receiver. I think they really want to. I think this is that type of offense I think they really want to run. Sanders will remain in the backfield, obviously, and do what he does best. But I think Gainwell, line him up in the slot a little bit, almost using him like, how the Eagles use Sproles for all those years. But I think he's even got higher upside than Darren Sproles.
I think the biggest thing here is that people see how that was a ridiculous save that Tristan Jarry just made, by the way. I don't know why I'm watching the Flyers.
I was going to say, I know the Phillies are down. The Phillies are down 1-0. So,
yeah, great. My biggest thing is people see Roseman and he's a terrible drafter. He's this, he's that. But that first pick, okay, let's just say Devonta Smith doesn't work out. Okay,
yeah,
it wasn't a reach. Okay, that guy won the Heisman Trophy last year. Okay, so he is an athlete. It's not like they just pluck somebody out like Danny Watkins, who's never played. He's 26 years old. Okay.
Yeah, but let's not always say. I mean, Heisman Trophy winners, we've seen in the past.
I know that.
So we can't just go by that. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, the pick wasn't a reach. He was a top 10 selection. It wasn't like he was the end of the first rounder that they got at number 10. Okay. So from that standpoint, I don't think that it's that bad of a pick. What Brian's saying is they needed other things. They needed a cornerback. They needed a linebacker. They needed help. I get it.
Okay. The corners were off the board. They probably would have went Surtain or Horn. They probably would. I think they probably would have went Surtain or Horn if they were there.
I think so too.
They weren't there. They weren't there. So I mean, I'm not taking the Northwestern tackle when. No offense, I know people are going to laugh or whatever. I don't care. They need to still find out, because people already ruled to think that he can't play football. I want to see what Andre Dillard has. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he got hurt. He got hurt last year, and he didn't play at all last year. So he got hurt in August. So I want to still see what he got.
Is Mailata going to play left tackle, or what's he going to do?
Well, he's definitely got the inside. I would think position right now to start.
Put Dillard at guard.
I don't think he can play guard. That's the problem. It doesn't look like he's very versatile at all.
So
he couldn't handle playing right tackle. So I mean, that's
Lane Johnson will be hurt in game 2 or be doing steroids anyway. So
yeah. Lane always gets hurt anyway. It seems like these days, but I don't know.
The pick that everybody was scrutinizing, I think, was the third round pick, Milton Williams. He looked good on tape too. I mean,
yeah,
he looked fast.
I think it was
and athletic. For a guy who's 284.
Yeah, the complaint was, a little, undersized, overall, but short arms too. They keep drafting guys that don't have these long arms, long long wingspan, which you kind of need as far as leverage and be able to get past these. Guards or tackles, get to the quarterback. But I think he, this one of these guys that did well in the pro day, at his pro day at Louisiana Tech. And, I guess he measured well. So, I mean, I don't know anything about him to scrutinize the pick. And I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick projection anyway. So if it was a reach, it was not that much of a reach.
Right.
And, they took a corner in the 4th round, Zach McPherson, who Some think, actually, I think Pro Football Focus had him like our fourth or fifth best corner as far as passer rating against or completion percentage allowed throughout the season. Chris Wilson saying Gainwell is like a Charlie Garner. I mean, I kind of like the Charlie Garner, Brian Westbrook, if you're just comparing former Eagles as far as his size. You're going into that category of like a Garner or a Westbrook. So I probably agree with him there about Gainwell. And listen, today Brian Baldinger was on the radio this afternoon. He loves Dickerson. He thinks he's a multiple Pro Bowl, All Pro type player. When it comes to offensive line, I think I'm going to take his word for it. And he even liked the Jacoby Stevens pick in the 6th round, the safety linebacker from LSU. He says he's a guy that you're going to be able to play in box safety. You basically play with 3 safeties on the field nowadays. Linebackers have become, you're playing 1 or 2 linebackers on the field, and you're playing extra safety. Guy that can line up in the box. Dime linebacker, dime safety. Guys that he's not great in coverage by any means, but he's a hard hitter. He can get to the quarterback too. I think he was commented and saying he models his game like after a Buda Baker or Jamal Adams. So maybe somebody like that. Adams isn't great in coverage either. I think he's very overrated in coverage. But he obviously, what did he lead he had like 6 or 7 sacks last year. Adams. So I mean, overall, listen, the first 2 picks we know enough about because obviously, Smith and Dickerson played big time football. Right. So you watch those games. The other guys you can't really comment, too much about. We'll just see how things, play out. And then
Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence and ETN jersey coming?
I'm going to just put this out. Honestly, when they get to the pros, I don't really care much about them anymore, to be honest with you.
You just like them on the Clemson team.
Yeah, when they're in college, it's great. And, I'll watch, I'll follow them. Like, I'll follow what Cornell Powell does with Kansas City, Amari Rodgers does with Green Bay. Guys like that. I think 6 guys got taken from Clemson this year in the draft. So, I mean, it's good for them. Obviously,
Alabama Notre guys got taken.
Yeah, Alabama had 6 guys go in the first round, right? So,
yeah, I think Notre Dame had, 10?
Did they have 10 overall?
So, might have been. I know Ian Book went to
the Saints.
How
about that? Good developmental spot for him. I don't think he's ever going to turn.
He's going to be a very good NFL quarterback.
No, he could be. I think he could latch on to be a career backup in the league. I don't see him being a consistent starter. I don't see it happening. But if it happens, then great for him. But
here we go.
What?
BTA.
Well, I would say right now probably Jacksonville just because I think Trevor Lawrence is obviously has higher upside. If you're just talking about the quarterback position, which is obviously the most important, that Trevor Lawrence should be better than Jalen Hurts. So, so I'll go with Jacksonville just from that. Nothing else.
I'd rather be neither team.
Nothing else because I still think the Jaguars got a long way to go. Huh?
Shad Khan.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer.
And Urban Meyer's never coached the NFL. So we don't know. Right. Do we know that he can – yeah, great. One of the great college coaches in history, but why? He's just such a clown.
Clown. Wait, we have something with clowns in it. I can bring that up soon. Go ahead.
One last point. This is a guy that loves assets. We always hear it all the time about his hockey team. Loves assets, loves picks. And the Rangers, ended up, they had a couple, top 2 picks that obviously helped things roll along. But the Eagles had 11 picks this past draft. They used 9 of them. We didn't think they were going to use all of them. And they have another, 10 or 11 picks next year. So don't you give yourself an opportunity. He's going to say that, Howie Roseman's making those picks. That's great. Right. But they have the right idea what's going on, as far as at least this is a 2-year rebuild, hopefully. So
what do you want us to talk about? You tell Tell us what you want to talk about on the Sports Box tonight. Tell me. Yeah. What do you think about Dallas's picks? Well, at least we have a couple of Dallas fans on. What do you think?
I saw a couple that I think it was fine, but I had a couple. I read a couple things that they actually graded low, but I mean, Michael Parsons is gonna, he's gonna be a difference maker. There's no question about it.
I didn't even think about it. Zach Ertz still on the team, eh?
Yeah.
Guess I didn't move him.
They'll release him in June, I guess. I don't know.
June 1 post cut.
I guess
somebody will pick him up. They'll sign him in the first day.
But Dallas, I thought Dallas, did they draft too many linebackers? I heard that complaint. I keep drafting linebackers. But
Vander Esch let him go today, right?
They didn't pick up his fifth-year option, so he's going to be. This is a walk year for him. He's got to prove it because obviously he's coming off a year where he had a neck injury this past year, so obviously that's a concern. Sean Lee retired though, so right now you got Jalen Smith and you got him. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I still think right now, as things stand here on May 3rd, the Cowboys are the team to beat in the division.
They went 6 defensive players in a row, the Cowboys.
Well, they had the idea because that was the one thing that's really obviously had one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. They got rid of Mike Nolan, obviously, which was probably their one issue was their coaching. Bringing in Dan Quinn, and Dan Quinn, they brought in some reinforcements, some young reinforcements that he can, hopefully, for the Cowboys fans' sake, groom. So, could they? They definitely would have preferred one of the corners before the linebacker, but they didn't have an opportunity to take one of the corners. So that's the way the draft board fell for them.
I agree with that.
And Washington, what did they do? Washington, I'm looking now. One of the last team we'll point on here is not the Redskins, the football team. Sorry, but
Davis.
Who they draft?
Jamin Davis was the first round pick.
Yeah.
Linebacker from Kentucky. Then they went offensive tackle, cornerback, wide receiver, Diami Brown. I don't know why. They got McLaurin. They got a bunch of guys. They don't really need him, but whatever.
Yeah, so they took that corner.
Quarterback.
They took that big corner from Minnesota, right?
Yeah. Benjamin St. Juste.
Yeah, that's the
6'3", 202.
Yeah, he's pretty big. I mean, I would have liked if the Eagles did they have an opportunity? Yeah, I think they had obviously a couple opportunities if they really wanted them. They didn't draft them. Yeah, as you said, they took a receiver then in the second pick of the third round, Dwayne Brown.
Did you see their 7th round pick, Dax Milne from BYU? The wide receiver.
Did you watch? I'm looking at it now. Did you watch him play?
Yeah.
Is he pretty good?
He's good, yeah. Well, he had Zach Wilson's favorite target.
Okay. But as you said, receiver maybe not the most pressing need for them, but
right. I took 2 of them.
They're a quarterback away. I know it's easier said than done. As Chris Wilson says, Fitz Magic, good guy to have as your short-term option. I don't think any of the other quarterbacks on their roster right now, the young quarterbacks on their roster, are going to be guys that I think are going to be difference makers. But I think right now they are right there with probably the Cowboys right now. First and second, I think it's pretty close. Right now between those two teams, I think both teams have opportunities to win. In that 10+ win range. I think this year. And right now, I think the Giants and Eagles are below 500 football teams still. So
yeah,
that's what it appears. Absolutely. At least at this moment, that's what appears the division looks like. So
there it is.
Yep.
Not the first round pick we got next year. We're worried about the offensive tackle that we would have gotten at 6. But we're going to have 3 first-round picks next year. You said it yourself, Brian. This is a losing year for them. Doesn't matter what they do this year. So.
Let me ask.
See them draft Justin Fields.
Did the Cowboys make the right pick last year, taking CeeDee Lamb? They didn't need a receiver in the first round last year.
Well, he'll agree with you.
But they took best player available. CeeDee Lamb was clearly their best player on their board, obviously.
Right.
They didn't need CeeDee Lamb, but they got him, and now this year looks like he'll end up being their best receiver when things are said and done. This year, he'll be better than Cooper. So you don't just – I don't know. I mean, anyway, that's it for the draft. We'll go now into a lot. Obviously, the other shows this week, a lot more will tomorrow night we will be talked about. So more ahead this week here on the Sports Box with the draft recaps. You'll get to basically get the analysis of all 32 teams. We didn't want to do that tonight, so we didn't want a 3-hour show either. So
no, 45 minutes is good.
Now the MLB latest. Phillies are actually now, I'd said it was 1-0 Brewers. Now they just took a 2-1 lead, a home run by JT in the bottom of the first.
Make that money.
So we'll get just a little bit in the Phillies because, things are not changing with this team. They haven't won 2 in a row in a long time. That's the start. And the other thing right now is I think Harper's going on the injury list. I think that he looked like he re-aggravated his wrist last night. About the seventh inning.
He's not in the lineup tonight.
Not in the lineup. Girardi said that we're hoping it's not an IL stint, but if he's saying that, if he's even prompting it, it'll end up will probably be. After all that, what happened last Wednesday when he got hit in the face, we thought it was going to be a broken nose or a facial fracture. It ends up being that he got clipped on the wrist before it hit his face, is why he missed 3 games after that. Played last night, not playing tonight.
Talk about a putrid outfield today. Matt Joyce, Roman Quinn, and Odubel Herrera. Ugh.
Oh, my Lord. That's AAA lineup tonight.
That's awful.
Yeah, McCutcheon's not playing tonight. Apparently, he's complaining about some vision issues. He can't see in the outfield as well.
Well, so am I. He's going to get dropped in about 10 seconds.
And he hit a long home run last night to lead off the game.
That was nothing.
So, but he's hitting under 200. You don't need your leadoff hitter. Yeah, your leadoff hitter can't.
Only team besides having Jimmy Rollins, they can't find a leadoff hitter for the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
And one of their issues. Outfield production as a whole, other than Harper, obviously. Listen, Hoskins is doing pretty much what you would expect him to do. He's not he's going to be a 240, 250 hitter. But if he's driving in runs, he's got 8 home runs, 16 RBIs so far. He plays crappy defense, but what are you going to do?
It was bad. 2 bad balls when he dropped.
Yeah, and I don't know what the heck happened on the one that was a scorcher late in the game that the Mets put up 6 runs in that, what was that 7th or 8th inning. And then I don't know. ESPN had terrible camera angle. I don't know. They were just following VR, and VR ended up scoring from second base because Hoskins just was walking the ball in. I don't know what the heck happened, but I mean, right now that's. And then John does talk about the home run that got called back.
I didn't see it. I heard Fransky's call. I didn't see actually what happened.
Okay. Yeah. So
he said it went off the railing. Fransky.
He did call that. Okay.
He said it went off the railing when it happened. He goes off the railing. He didn't say home run.
Well, it was a much better call than Matt Vasgersian that was having like a I don't know what the heck he was doing. He was yelling and he just said the ball was out of the ballpark. I thought it hit the seat and came back in. But obviously, it clearly hit.
What view did they show?
Oh, they showed as close as you can get, and it did look like it. Then they got the call right. It hit the railing.
Yeah,
and they allowed the second run to score because they would assume that he was going to score anyway. But then Hoskins had to go to second. He actually got pinch run for anyway, and then Harper struck out to end the game. So
yeah, I saw Reese told the umpire to F you, and then he had to go back onto the field.
Yeah, I guess I mean, obviously he was mad because it looked like he tied the game, but
yeah.
Right now it's the same issues. Even their bullpen still doesn't look good enough by any means, and really you can't blame. What's that?
Vinny Velo give up a double. They're right back at it.
Yeah.
I don't know how this guy has to have dirty pictures of somebody in the system. Because
it can't be just Dombrowski because this guy had an opportunity to cut him well before that.
I just don't. How does this guy still have a job in the major leagues? It's beyond me.
I know, I hear you, and of course, Brewers have been banged up, but they actually have one of the best records.
Hader, baby.
Lorenzo Cain and Christian Yelich were good to come back tonight. They saw the Phillies were on the schedule, so they were ready to. They were healed up when they saw Velasquez was pitching tonight. So they're back in the lineup tonight, and the Brewers got some flamethrowers, don't they? Starting rotation and their bullpen.
Yeah,
guys that can really throw it. So. Yeah, they got a 4-game series here with Milwaukee. Wouldn't be surprised if they had swept, and that's just the way things are going right now.
They're 9-3 on the road, Milwaukee.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got – so Red Sox have one of the better records. I think they got to be amongst the surprises so far at 17-12. And the Royals, too, 16-10. I mean, that's a surprise, too.
Flyers are up 2-0. That's a surprise.
We don't want them to win. Don't you want to tank? I know. Well, lottery though. But anyway, So the Braves are struggling. That's the one thing. I am. Can you blame it really? I mean, Max Fried's coming back this week, so I guess that helps them.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised. I mean, you would have to think, 28 games in, they'll still figure it out. They'll probably go through a real good month here, and they'll be in first place by the end of the month.
Hopefully.
But, yeah, I mean, they've lost now 4 in a row. They just got swept by Toronto over the weekend. The Nationals are coming. Yep, they've won 4 in a row. Scherzer has pitched a complete game, had his 3rd child yesterday. Well, he didn't give birth, but you know what I mean.
Pitched and then went and had a baby. Great.
5:30 was the birth of the child.
Yeah.
So good for him. I mean, I'm looking right now. Other than that, it's the Giants are a surprise too. Gabe Kapler 17-11. They're a half game up in first place over the Dodgers.
Joe Giglio's boy. Cat.
I don't know if the Giants are going to be able to sustain this, but I mean it's a good start for them. Padres, on the other hand, their issue right now is actually their top guys in their lineup are struggling a little bit right now. Machado, Tatis are struggling. Cronenworth not hitting as much. So 2 or 3 of their top guys in their lineup are not hitting. So that's kind of hurting them a little bit. But listen, it's a little more than a month into the season. You would have to think things are, and with Oakland, I know John Suggs made a comment about Oakland. Yeah, they started off like 1-8, and now all of a sudden
13 in a row.
Yeah. Now they're in first place at 17-12. So they've picked things up. Mariners are 16-13. Mike Aletta's team. That means they'll falter by Memorial Day.
Yep.
And that's really it there. Mike Trout leads categories. No surprise. Still one of the best players in the game. Hitting .412. Amongst the leaders, and I think he's actually leading in OPS. So he's still the best player in baseball on a team that will never win. So things continue to stay the same. How about Byron Buxton having a nice season so far, hitting over 400?
Yeah.
So, and he, how long was he regarded as one of the best, top prospects, up and coming, and it's taken them a while to get to this type of level, but maybe this is going to be something now they can sustain there in Minnesota, and they need it. So, and Garrett Cole, or not.
That's good.
But
keep mowing people down.
The other New York pitcher is the best pitcher in baseball. Sorry, it's Jacob DeGrom. Jacob DeGrom's the best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
With
no question.
Yeah, 0.51 ERA for him. Danny Duffy has got a 0.60 for Kansas City so far. Corbin Burns, one of the up-and-comers for Milwaukee, 1.53. Tyler Glasnow's having a nice season so far for Tampa as well with a 1.67. And one of the last players that had a down season last year and a short season, JD Martinez, is off to a great start for Boston. 9 home runs, 26 RBI so far. Big reason why Boston's off to a surprising fast start to their season. We'll see if they'll be able to sustain that or not. Did you see Nick Pavetta's off to a good start too?
That's Fritz's boy.
What's that tell you, man?
Love me some Nick Pavetta.
So it's coaching?
I don't know. AV is a good coach right now tonight.
Great. I don't want them to win. Great.
They'll probably lose 5-3 tonight.
Yeah, it's still early. What happened to Carter Hart? He's out for the year now. He got hurt again.
I would be fucking early.
Oh, here we go. Gave up on him. Another young kid you give up on.
He's bad, dude. He was bad this year, and I got to hear about how bad the defense is. He can't stop a beach ball. He couldn't stop a beach ball.
He looked like Brizgalov this year.
Yeah. Terrible. Almost 4-0.
So that's baseball right now.
We're gonna comment on
what we got.
NBA for a minute and then we're done. That's how we end first.
So with the NBA,
Sixers get back in the first place last night.
Yeah. Ben, the only game winner he'll probably ever have is a tip in.
Hey, listen, some people couldn't finish games.
So that's good. I mean, Embiid was getting double teamed. He put up a shot, a little prayer. Nobody was collapsing the boards, and give Simmons credit. He was right there and timed it correctly.
Yeah.
And ended up beating the Spurs last night in overtime. And they'll play the Bulls tonight. Brooklyn lost 2 in a row over the weekend.
Yeah, baby.
They lost to the Bucks. They play the Bucks again, I think, tomorrow night. So the Bucks are solidified at the 3 seed. The Knicks, I mean, playing is
John makes a good point here. John makes a good point here. I read an article today about LeBron crying over the play-in game because now they're the 7 seed and they're falling down.
They're tied with Dallas and Portland. Yeah,
because now they're gonna have to. Whoever made that should be fired. Whoever thought of that decision. How about nobody likes you? How about that? Piece of crap. Hate that guy.
So he's hoping somebody loses their job. That's good.
Exactly. But he'll be, God forbid somebody says something about somebody he doesn't like. He goes right to social media.
Yeah, well, we're not touching that subject, but I know you're talking
we're
about
not. I'm just saying.
But anyway, it's whatever's convenient for him. I feel he would support it if they were the 1 or 2 seed. So
yeah. Of course.
But I mean, I think it's very, very important for the Sixers to be the 1 seed because they have the second best home record in the NBA. We know how good they play when they're guys
starting. They don't even have all their whole lineup ever together.
Who, the Sixers?
Yeah, yesterday they did. I'm saying once they get their whole lineup back together and playing, and not have who's hurt, who's taking a rest, who's doing this.
Well, the week before when Simmons missed all those games, I think it was just a time that they identified the rest of their guys. I don't know, and then play the guys when the schedule softened up like it did last week when they played Oklahoma City, Atlanta twice, and San Antonio. I don't know, but I mean, I think it's important because then in the second round you get the Knicks or the Hawks or a team like that, and they should be able to beat. I know, but when it comes to the playoffs, you still think they'll beat them. I mean, let's be honest. Do you think Julius Randle is taking over a playoff game? Like, I still don't think he's going to.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but I'd rather have that path than have to play Milwaukee in the second round because we've seen how they've played against Milwaukee. They went 0-3 against Milwaukee, I believe, this year. So they've struggled. So I'd much rather play the Knicks than Milwaukee in the second round. I mean, there's no question about that. Brooklyn is just a matter of they don't have anybody. They never play with the big three has only played 7 games with each other, I think, so far. Harden is probably not going to play till the playoffs now, it looks like, after he re-injured his hamstring. KD is, he's playing, but, he doesn't play back-to-back still, so they're just getting him ready for the playoffs. They're all just gearing up for the playoffs, but my question is with Brooklyn, are they just going to be able to flip the light switch on, all of a sudden be able to play all together? All of a sudden, are they going to be able to defend, the way that I think they're going to struggle to defend because they don't have, I thought LaMarcus Aldridge, him retiring, I think was big because I thought that was a guy they really wanted for the playoffs, and now they don't have him. I think that's that's why I think, if this. I still don't trust Simmons, though, so that gives me a little bit of pause to be overly optimistic about the Sixers going too far in the playoffs.
Right.
Because I think it still goes all on him. But, we'll see. It's likely, a 3-horse race in the East as it's been all year. In the West right now, I don't know. Because do we think that the Phoenix Suns and Utah Jazz are this for real?
The clip, once Kawhi comes back?
I think he came back last night, so I think I agree. I think the Clippers are probably right now.
Yeah, favorites.
Probably. Vegas still has the Lakers as the favorites. I guess so, but I do think with the way they're positioning seed-wise right now, I think it's going to hurt them a little bit. They're going to have to play on the road the first 2 games in an important series. I still think means a lot. And Denver without Jamal Murray really hurts them because I think that would have been the other team that would have given one of these top teams a run for their money, but not having Jamal Murray, I think, is a big blow to them. And it's a shame. They're well coached, and they have, obviously it looks like the MVP in Jokic. I think Embiid's going to fall short and finish second. I just think he didn't play in enough games. And that's just going to be the situation there. And I think he'll finish second in the MVP voting, and Jokic will likely be the MVP this year. So that's it. Only 7-8 games basically left in the regular season. And, we'll start to talk about real basketball because the players don't care about the regular season. So why should we?
Exactly.
So that's basically what it comes down to.
That's how we end our shows.
Yeah, so that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on the Sports Box. Here, obviously, we also want to just give shout-outs to the sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hammonton. Looks like, I guess they're getting ready to move soon, right, to the new location?
Yeah, it should be next 2 weeks.
Next 2 weeks, so that's they'll be on the White Horse Pike in Hammonton, the old Napa location, if you're familiar with Hammonton. So that is it for tonight. Paul McCree once again alongside Big V Mike Velarde. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Show on the Sports Box. Please remember to follow us on all of our social media outlets. On Facebook at Sportsbox Show, Twitter at Sportsbox Show, Instagram at The Sportsbox Show. Find us on YouTube and join Outside the Box, our Facebook sports discussion group. The Sports Box is brought to you by our sponsor, Showcase Sports in Hammonton. Showcase Sports for the elite athlete. And also our friends over at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use promo code THEBOX at sign up for 10 free points. Thank you for joining us.